Every anime fan has at least one anime that they consider underrated. If you were to ask me, I would tell you that 𝑴𝑰𝒀𝑰𝒀𝑰 is a damn classic. You ask Simple Gear fans, they suggest their anime because of whatever this is going on here. But if you've ever gone deep into the cracks and crevices of the anime community to see what anime others consider underrated, you may have heard the chants coming from your local e-girls all screaming Dazai, 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 and at some point have wondered,
who the hell is Dazai? And why is he pulling so many bitches?
Well, to answer only one of those questions, Dazai is from the series called Bungo Stray Dogs, and if you're not familiar with it, you may be surprised with just how big it is. 5 manga series, 2 animes, a light novel series, a film release with another on the way, multiple awards, and a whole lot of motherfucking money. So despite the amount of fans that call this anime underrated, it's actually pretty popular. But enough about how big Bungo Stray Dogs is. What is it about? Bungo Stray Dogs follows 8-year-old orphan Atsushi Nakajima after he saves a man named Dazai from drowning himself in a river, a suicide attempt. Dazai alongside his partner Kunikita take Atsushi out to eat as repayment for him going through the trouble of saving Dazai. While eating, he finds out that Dazai and Kunikita are part of a group of detectives with special abilities called the R.Detective Agency. Some episode 1 stuff happens and we find out that Atsushi is also an ability user with the power of an Animorph. Atsushi is then convinced to join the R.Detective Agency, and so begins the story of Bungo Stray Dogs. I first watched Bungo Stray Dogs as it was airing 5 years ago in spring 2016. If you were to ask Baby Guaz how he felt about the anime back then, he'd look at you and tell you, this is some goddamn me. I was a little nasty fella back then. But after rewatching the series now, what does Big Guaz got to say about it? Oh, you know, it's alright, you know. It's cool or whatever. But then you factor in the banger that is season 2 of this series and my answer's gonna switch up. And now the big question is, yeah, season 2 is great, but is it good enough to bear through season 1? Season 1 of Bungo Stray Dogs is a little bit of a mixed bag. Depending on the type of viewer you are, the things the show does in the first season is gonna be hit or miss. You get a lot of interesting characters and some A1 production from top tier studio bones, but then you talk about things like progression, stakes, tension, and things start getting a bit hazy. The first season starts off episodically with episodes connecting only slightly to the next. A couple of episodes in and you start asking yourself, where is this going? Why is this man twitching and tweaking off the shrooms right now? Episodes are usually Atsushi following members of the agency, solving mysteries and things of that nature. Occasionally you get some wild stuff like Tommy guns getting busted, bombers hijacking trains, or Mr. Edgelord over here getting a bit too out of hand. But for the most part, when it comes to season 1, there's not really an overarching plot, emphasis on the not really part. After a couple episodes into the series, you're introduced to a group called the Port Mafia that are hunting down Atsushi because he has a 7 billion yen price tag on his head. But is he really in danger? You don't see the agency take any extra precautions to protect Atsushi, and early on the anime even shows that the Port Mafia isn't too big of a threat for the detective agency. So instead of getting an epic clash of Tommy guns and special abilities between the Port Mafia and the detective agency, what do we get? Atsushi going out on strolls and solving Scooby-Doo mysteries. Scooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. So not counting Atsushi the tiger only potentially getting poached, you're not gonna get much out of season 1, at least not until the season nears its end. When the series does decide to revisit the idea of Atsushi being captured and then builds on it, you get the best parts of this season. You get a deeper look at the characters, nicely animated fights, and actual tension. These factors along with some interesting revelations actually make the series feel like it's going somewhere and left me excited to see how the story would progress. So although it may sound like I've been bashing on season 1, I actually had fun watching it. I do get that the creator wanted us to get to know the characters of this series, their powers, and how they relate with one another, but overall I think this could have been shown in a more cohesive and interesting manner. Overall, I would say this season is a pretty laid back vibe with some big moments sprinkled along the way. But then you get to season 2, and then you realize that these motherfuckers here, yeah, they was spitting. Season 2 of Bungo Stray Dogs is where this series shines at its brightest. Production hits harder, interesting characters are introduced, Atsushi gets badass moments with substantial character development, and you finally have stakes in the plot now. The season starts out with a flashback arc following Dazai's past, but instead of Dazai being the center of attention, you follow the man who's helped shape who he is in the present named Sakunosuke Oda. And it's crazy how Bungo Stray Dogs can get me attached to a character in just these few episodes. While the writing of this arc is solid on its own, Oda stands out as the star of this arc. In a short time you learn about Oda, his background, and his principles. The arc then ramps up as you see these principles challenged and Oda's faced with the decision of either upholding or abandoning them. As this arc goes on, it builds up more and more until it finally bursts in this heated ending that's just pure hype. After this arc wraps up, we pick up where season 1 left off, with the remainder of this season being an all-out three-way war between the detective agency, port mafia, and the guild. Guerrilla tactics, surprise attacks, kidnappings are some of the methods you see deployed in this war. The battles are bigger than ever and the season does a great job of keeping you on edge with entertaining and surprising moments happening back to back one after the other. This right here is some good shit, but this needed a little bit of sauce or something cause this thing was a little bit dry. Season 2 is where we see the pieces placed down from the previous season used effectively. Seeing characters from the main cast during the flashback arc feels gratifying. There's this one specific cameo from the season 1 character that plays creatively on his abilities. Moments like Dazai punching and busting at his own subordinate like he's an op not only show how much he's changed from his past self, but there's dialogue here that adds context to this scene that we got from the first season. And the PTSD flashbacks Asushi gets like 3 times an episode are built on and used to give him some big character development. So season 2 of Bungo Stray Dogs is a damn banger. It has lots of great moments, interesting characters, abilities, exhilarating fights, and it's just overall heaps and bounds of an improvement from season 1. But before heading to season 3 of Bungo Stray Dogs, there's an OVA movie that you gotta watch. Now the OVA doesn't need that much explaining as it's an extra episode that takes place after the events of season 2. It tells you more about the character Kunakita and the experiences here are relevant and referenced in season 3. So after you finish watching the OVA, you make yourself to the movie and this thing starts out banging. Bullets flying, guitar riffs, lasers being shot, and my boy Chuya on a damn motorcycle riding on the side of walls and shit. Bungo Stray Dogs Dead Apple looks and is produced like an actual movie. But although the movie is damn good from a presentation standpoint with Michael Bay explosions and some cool scenes, in my opinion it falls flat in the story department. Now I'm not trying to knock this movie down or anything, but I think it says a lot when Dazai fucker calls this movie a waste of time. It starts out nice, but gradually over time, I couldn't help but lose interest in this film. Dazai turns into an op, there's a dragon in the sky, and the villain turns into damn Momoshiki. But I think this movie's biggest problem is how much it downgrades Asushi. The man just feels so damn useless. In the movie, he can't even shoot a simple pistol, but in season 1, my man was spraying the Uzi. A lot of the development Asushi goes through in season 2 is absent within this movie. Instead of getting the person who stepped up when things got rough, you have a man that's getting done so foul, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I can't respect no man that's getting chaperoned by a 14-year-old middle schooler. This girl can barely reach the damn gas pedal. Why you let her bust a Yui in the whip? The movie feels like it takes itself too seriously, which in itself isn't a problem, but what exactly am I taking seriously? This guy pops out of nowhere and does all of this bad stuff, but I don't know why he's doing it or what the hell is even going on. So after the movie, all that's left of the series is season 3. Now season 3 is a mix of what you get from both season 1 and season 2. Some of the episodic nature from season 1 is carried over, but not to the extent of before. Events or characters that appear end up playing a big role in the season or are used for character development. More lighthearted aspects are added that are reminiscent of the first season, but I would say it's done more effectively here. I thought it was actually amusing to watch a character that we've seen in only serious situations now pulling out a whole Glock just because she thinks another woman is picking up her crush's clothes from the dry cleaners. I think the comedy aspect of the series works better here because not only is it more entertaining, but because we spent 24 episodes in OVA in a damn movie getting to know these characters. So the comical situations play nicely off of our knowledge of the characters and feel like a nice little bonus to their interactions. This season, just like season 2, starts with a flashback arc revolving around how Dazai and Chuya meet each other, while also fleshing out Chuya as a character. This is another solid arc with some mystery, dope fights, and a closer look at some of the characters. One complaint I do have though is that I think it's jarring to start this season off with a flashback instead of just jumping into what season 2 did such a great job of building up to. And even though season 2 does the same thing, that flashback arc is necessary because it introduces characters important for the following arc and gives motive to the actions Dazai takes later in the season. While the arc with Chuya and Dazai is good, it doesn't have the same effect and may have been better off as an OVA. But when season 3 gets back to the main story, you're getting an enjoyable experience. The main story resumes with an episode following the antagonist of this arc, Fyodor. The episode does an excellent job of portraying how vile and slimy of a man Fyodor is. A man with so much intelligence that plays mind games to the point he tricks one of his enemies into hanging himself. Then he proceeds to talk and laugh at the man like he did him a favor. Fyodor ain't shit. The next couple of episodes, like mentioned earlier, can come off as episodic, but after finishing the season, I was surprised to see how these episodes factored into the conflict with Fyodor. Some of these episodes might feel like a drag, but when it starts tying up its loose ends, you get that thrill of an experience you did from season 2. So I would say season 3 is head and shoulders above season 1, but of all 3 seasons, I still rank season 2 as the best from this series. So now that we discussed what Bungo Stray Dogs is, let's tackle the question, what's so good about this anime that it has motherfuckers moving like this? If I were to put my finger on it, I would say the appeal of Bungo Stray Dogs comes from its cast, their interactions, and its lightheartedness. It's also a nice bonus that is greatly produced. In a similar fashion to series like Haikyuu or Boku no Hero, Bungo Stray Dogs features aspects that make it appeal to a wide demographic. Like many other seinen or shonen anime, Bungo Stray Dogs features a mostly male cast, but here the characters have close and intimate bonds with each other, and at times characters interact with each other in these cute and lighthearted moments. These are factors that may pique the interest of more than just guys who want to see other guys beating each other's asses. And this one might not be too big of a deal, but I think it also helps that the characters aren't sexualized and used for fan service. Besides that one time in the movie where it looked like my boy Dazai was getting mopped up by Chuya. But hey, them tickets gotta get sold, baby. A good amount of the characters' appeal comes from how they and their abilities are based on real-world authors. Dazai talks like a 2010 emo kid, Atagawa sounds like he needs an inhaler 24/7, and these two have the whole, "what are you doing, bro?" thing going on, all as references to writers and their works that they're named after. But I'ma keep it 100. A lot of these references are probably flying over your head, cause let's be honest, it's 2021, attention spans are at an all-time low, TikTok is a thing, and anime fans don't even read manga. Ain't nobody reading no damn books. But with all the references to the famous Japanese authors, it kinda makes sense why the series has a big following in Japan. And if you are by chance of a higher IQ or just a bookworm, some of the references to writers might be reason enough for you to check out this series. From what I've heard, they're well executed. So, should you watch Bungo Stray Dogs? Well, before answering that question, I want to blue balls you just a bit longer and announce my new Discord. Link down below. Shout out to Juicy Nates for helping me set it up, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys. So if you're looking for an anime that doesn't take itself too seriously, with a colorful cast of characters, great production, and some action as a bonus, Bungo Stray Dogs might be up your alley. But if you just want some straight up action with a story that takes off right out the gate, then this probably isn't for you. But if you're interested, I say the first 3 episodes are a good indicator of whether or not this show would be something you'd enjoy. That's it for this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and ayy.